Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected, except for my Wi-Fi. How y'all feeling? The early chatters are in. Thank you all for being data. What the hell is going on? All right. Try and get it together, YouTube or OBS or whatever is going on. Russ Taylor starts off the chat with right. I'm set up on Rockfin where you can say what you really think. It's not too difficult even for this Luddite. So be like Russ Taylor. Set yourself up on Rockfin. So you can watch me on Fridays at 11 a.m. Raza Remen, quintessentially shafted. Ooh. I see you essential and you raise me a quintessential. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. David Cardill. So yeah, the great CEO exodus of 2020 where all the CEOs from all the corporations all stepped down. Yeah, that's been ongoing. I think that started in 2019, right? Right. And then a few days ago, the Federal Reserve was gutted from the inside, and it is no more what it once was. Who knows what that means? Who knows what that means? Who knows what's really going on with the Federal Reserve? Actually, Donald Trump has stated in the past that he wanted to overhaul the Fed or even get rid of it, which is an interesting thing for someone to say. Because the last president who threatened to abolish the Fed was JFK. So who knows if he really means it or if he's just saying that? I don't know. Who knows? But I mean, there are apparently changes going on. Not going to have time to actually cover that in this video, but thanks for the update, David. I appreciate you. Poppy Davis is here, so we can officially start. Why is my Wi-Fi is just acting... Well, it's not the Wi-Fi. I guess it's YouTube. We've got a lot of technical issues going on today, right from the get-go, and I apologize. We're gonna have to struggle through it here. I think YouTube is just being YouTube. Rich Diana says, Poppy, took me 3 days to get over watching Planet of the Humans. I'm cool now. Yeah, it was pretty hardcore. Had Valmer says, can I still have my coffee? I don't know. Can you? I can have mine. Let's party like it's 1969. Dude, where can I get some tabs? Cool. See, y'all are here. Marie Telez, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Raza Remen asked me, Kevin, are you a Trump apologist? And if so, why? I don't know what that means, apologist. Or what, are you asking me facetiously? Excuse me, I can't even say the word. Or are you asking me for real? I am not a Trump apologist. Here's the thing is that, the truth is out there for you to see or, acknowledge if you want to. Yeah, Trump is a weird character. He tells a lot of lies. He does a lot of weird stuff. You know, he in general looks like a fumbling, bumbling mess. But that doesn't mean that, you know, occasionally he can accomplish, you know, relatively decent things, or try to, for whatever reasons that he's doing them. I'm not a Trump apologist. What I am also not is a Trump derangement sufferer. I can see that Trump lies, right? Here's one hand over here, and I can also see that people lie about Trump lying. So, you know, it's like Trump lies about a bunch of shit over here, but then people lie about a bunch of shit over here, and I can see both lies for what they are, right? I can see both situations for what they are. I'm not locked into one side or the other. So, no, I am not a Trump apologist. I am a clear-headed thinker, and I try to remain so at all times. Osama, your stream is fine? Good. Trev B5 says, everyone's watching Stephanie Kelton. I don't know who that is. On DM25 TV on YouTube, so they're messed up. I don't know what that means. I don't know who that is, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what the reference is or what the context is. I'm lost. Totally lost. The liar tweets tonight. Very good. Jason Alvarez asks, what do you think about 5G? Well, I think 5G is most likely an incredibly dangerous technology, and we're not aware of how dangerous it is yet. Beyond that, I can't really go down the 5G road because I want to cover some stories. But, you know, all the evidence points to the fact that 5G is not going to be healthy or safe. So let's get into some stuff because I really want to cover some stories. But good to see you all here. Kelton MMT. Oh, Kelton MMT economist. All right. I don't know what your feelings around MMT are or not, but Kelton was Bernie's economic advisor. Oh. It's all coming together. All right. Well, I'm sure lots of people want to hear what she has to say. I'm positive. I'm not, you know, super educated in the realm of MMT, but you know what I know of it, I feel like the arguments are pretty sound. You know, there are examples. You know, of course, there are problems with, you know, fiat currency, but you know, there are examples in the past of governments just printing money to pay for things that are needed, and we already do it anyways. So I think the whole MMT theory is like, can we just do it for people? I think that really what it boils down to is like, well, if we could do it for the military, and if we can do it for, you know, all kinds of other institutions, and if we can do it for, you know, corporate subsidies and farm subsidies and the military and et cetera, you know, MMT proven again with corporate bailouts. Exactly. So, you know, I think what it boils down to is if we can do it for all these other entities, why can't we do it for people? And every time you talk about doing it for people, you know, most economists are like, oh my God, hyperinflation, or how are we going to pay for it? Or the end of, you know, the end of the economic system as we know it. Anyways, whatever. Raza, you liked my answer. Thank you. I mean, this time. Well, let's get into it. I don't know. So new entry from way past what the fuck. This is titled Cannon Fodder. This is from a few days ago. Cannon fodder is, according to Wikipedia, an informal derogatory term for combatants who are regarded or treated by government or military command as expendable in the face of enemy fire. The term is generally used in situations where combatants are forced to deliberately fight against hopeless odds with the foreknowledge that they will suffer extremely high casualties in an effort to achieve a strategic goal. Healthcare workers on the front lines, grocery store clerks that sell you food you need, delivery drivers, and everyone else that is working to supply you the comfort and supplies you need right now are essentially cannon fodder. I go to grocery stores that are trying to protect their workers by having everyone wear masks and gloves and have to contend with irresponsible, self-righteous, spoiled children in adult bodies that come in with no masks, ignore distancing suggestions, and generally behave as though everything is just business as usual. The people who miss the memo do not care about the health of their families, friends, neighbors, or workers. They cannot be bothered by such inconvenience on the extreme end are the ones who actually believe that wearing a face mask infringes on their rights. The ones who believe that their precious freedoms include risking other people's lives so that they can go bowling or golfing or go to the movies or to the beach or to the coffee shop or to the mall or the hairdressers or the gun store or the hardware store. These people should be taken out of the equation. Perhaps we could send them all to the various Disney facilities around the world and allow them to live out their short, stupid lives pretending that everything is okay. In this article by Heather Hauser of the Austin Statesman, it is said that denying the severity of COVID-19 is tantamount to denying the worth of thousands who have died and thousands more who will. We need to stand up to science denialism to protect lives and show that they matter. I was reduced to a quivering mass of angry jello the other day when the various protests began to hit the news. I thought I had a handle on the stupid, but they just keep coming back. I stated this in a previous entry, but each passing day it gets worse. COVID-19 has got nothing on stupid. Stupid has gone viral. Make sure that you thank all the people who are now literally risking their lives so that you can have groceries and gas and stuff from Amazon. These are the people who are giving you the gift of a relatively normal life, and they are heroes. If you need to fight for freedom, how about fighting for the freedom of these brave souls who risk everything for you? They are the heroes, however, who will be ignored if there is a future. No one will herald the sacrifices they made for you, and you happen to end up in the hospital. If you happen to end up in the hospital, make sure you thank the nurses and doctors and aides who are trying to stay alive long enough to make sure you are okay. They are taking bullets for us. Now is the time for letting people in charge know that all these people need our help in fighting the tidal wave of stupidity that is overwhelming this country. And as evidenced, of course, by, the exponential numbers happening in the United States as far as how, who are infected and how many are dying. I mean, we are surpassing far and above the numbers of the rest of the planet. And, all the while, the government gives away money to the corporations. All the while, the government drags its feet on giving people help in buying food and rent. There are people lining up for food, of course, and we are getting very little, if no help at all. People have not gotten their stimulus checks. People have not gotten unemployment checks. Oh my God, Nancy Pelosi has this, there's this blurb or clip or whatever of her, talking about how the government or the people responsible who she's, calling, I guess she's assigning Republican to this entity out there that's giving money away to the corporations and the people that already have money and not giving help to the citizens and not giving essential workers the necessary equipment, et cetera, et cetera. She's talking as if she's on the side of the workers and the people, as if she didn't actually block initially try to block the stimulus checks from going out, as if she isn't blocking Medicare for all right now for people and suggesting that the government pay COBRA payments for people, as if she isn't part of the problem. Nancy Pelosi is the problem, and she is far and away as big a liar as Trump is. If Trump is a liar, Nancy Pelosi is just standing right next to him lying as much as he's lying, because the things that come out of her mouth are unbelievable. So just ridiculousness from, the supposed resistance. These people are not your friends. They don't care about you. And I don't know, I'm missing the part of the equation where Democrats are proud to be Democrats. I'm missing that whole thing there. Tory Purgers, fuck Nancy in her fridge. Exactly. Thank you, Marie Tellez. I appreciate you. You rock too. Gene, so are they pressuring Biden to resign yet? They are not. No, they aren't. And the people were pressuring Biden to resign, but Twitter took them off of Twitter. Golly gee, guys, we can't have these emotions on Twitter. We can't have people calling for Biden to resign. I mean, we can't have people calling for an actual investigation into what's going on with Joe Biden. We can't have people telling the truth. All right, let's move on to another story. This also, another in a long line of frightening stories. Global pandemic previews climate impacts on food system. This is from 5 days ago. From the site Alliance for Science. As the COVID-19 pandemic sweeps across the planet, it has exposed fragilities in the global food system that are likely to worsen with climate change. This is a story told in vivid images of dairy farmers dumping milk, empty supermarket shelves, piles of vegetables rotting in the sun, long lines at food distribution centers, and water buffalo feasting on strawberries that cannot reach market. It's a very human story of loss, suffering, and uncertainty as farmers face the specter of ruined crops and livelihoods, and the poor fear starvation and hunger as lockdowns and unemployment make it challenging to buy food. For those who have been following the escalation of climate change impacts, as the global temperature creeps steadily upward, and it is indeed creeping, it's also a prescient tale offering a poignant preview of the untold suffering we can expect if we fail to reduce the fossil fuel-driven carbon emissions that are heating the planet to levels unknown in human history. Experts agree that the disruptions currently before us are due not to food shortages, but panic buying and distribution problems, rigid supply chains that are unable to quickly adapt as air, ship, and trucking constraints stymie, like that word, stymie, shipments, borders tighten, produce markets shutter, processing facilities shut down, COVID outbreaks force the closure of massive meat packing plants, and consumers shift from dining in restaurants and schools to almost exclusively at home, where you can make much healthier meals for yourself. But a longer-term food crisis is looming as border closures prevent millions of migrant workers from reaching fields and food production facilities. Farmers struggle to secure fertilizer and seeds. Trade restrictions increase the fragility of supply chains. China scoops up foreign agricultural supplies as it emerges from lockdown and seeks to rebuild its economy and consumers, especially those in import-dependent nations, feel the pinch of rising prices. The world's poorest people are likely to bear the brunt. As the Global Network Against Food Crisis noted in a new report released yesterday, some 135 million people across 55 countries experienced acute food insecurity in 2019, including 75 million children who were stunted and another 17 million who suffered from wasting. The pandemic is perpetuating the downward cycle for millions, the report noted, although the precise magnitude of the deterioration is not known yet. It's not unlike the bleak scenario that many scientists foresee in the not-too-distant future, as climate change wreaks havoc on agriculture and the increasingly intertwined world food system. Climate events are key drivers in hunger rise. Although researchers have found that climate change has affected yields in many places, though crop yields have increased in some locations, overall there's been reduction in the global food production of staples such as rice and wheat, with climate change shrinking food supplies, particularly in food insecure developing countries. Similarly, a 2018 report by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization noted that Earth's changing climate and an increase in extreme climate events, such as droughts, floods, intense storms, and unpredictable rain patterns, are key drivers behind the rise in hunger due to deleterious effects on staple crops such as wheat, rice, and maize. Another study modeled the impact of a modern-day Dust Bowl, assessing what might happen if the pattern of droughts and poor farming practices that devastated the United States cereal production regions in the 1930s were repeated today. The world's food supply has become much more interconnected in the intervening 90 years, with the U.S. Great Plains region exporting cereal crops around the globe and some 80% of the world's population residing in countries that import more food calories than they export. The results of the computer simulation were not pretty, predicting cascading shocks that would reverberate around the world. But drought and floods aren't the only factors poised to destroy grain crops. A study published in the journal Science predicted that these same staples will be greatly impacted by the intensified insect pest pressure expected to accompany climate change. The warmer temperatures will deliver a double whammy by helping insect populations to thrive and also accelerating insect pests' metabolic rate, prompting them to consume more food during their lifespan. See the locust problem in Africa. As a result, the study projects a 50 to 100% increase in pest-induced crop losses in European wheat and 30 to 40% increases in losses of North American maize. 11 European countries are predicted to see 75% or higher increases in insect-induced wheat losses, including the UK, Denmark, Sweden, and Ireland. That translates into insect-induced losses above 16 million tons annually in Europe's breadbasket, currently the most productive wheat-producing region in the world. Farmers in the United States who grow most of the world's maize crop are projected to experience losses of more than 20 million tons annually. And China, which grows 1/3 of the global rice crop, could suffer insect-induced losses topping 27 million tons annually. Another paper published in Nature found that climate change will also affect global markets by reshaping agricultural trading patterns. Some regions may not be able to battle climate impacts on agriculture, in which case production of key commodities will decline or shift to new regions. Oh, this is lovely, but probably in our near future. In the Finding Solutions section, we can use the tools of genetic engineering to breed climate-smart crops and the science of synthetic biology to unlock new food options. Oh, delicious. So more GMO crops is the answer, and or synthetic biology. Alrighty. I always like when they stick in like really random crazy shit as an answer. You know, they describe the problem and then they go, here's some really random crazy ideas that are probably not good ones, but we're gonna suggest those as the answer. Not anything else, not, reducing carbon emissions, not permaculture, not something that Walter Jane suggests, which is creating, or what am I looking for? Ramping up the hydrological cycle. Charlie Adams Globalism equals less self-sufficiency. Indeed. Think globally, act locally. So there's nothing wrong with international solidarity, I believe, but international trade, not such a good thing for people in the end. Globalist corporate, a globalist corporate web is not necessarily a good thing for people. Because, of course, the model runs on, right now at least, exploiting workers in poor countries, third world countries, exploiting their cheap labor, putting people in work at work in richer countries out of work, or people that have fought for their union wages or better working conditions, and we go, well, we don't really want to do that for you anymore, so we're going to go give people in these other countries really shitty working conditions and zero wages, and we're going to put you out of work, and you can go work at Starbucks. How does that sound? That's kind of how internationalism is working for us now. Are you all talking about Michael Brooks? I like Michael Brooks too. Tory Purchase, are you talking about Michael Brooks when you said you found him kind of annoying? Yeah, I find some of his, I don't know, something about him, yeah, a little bit. A little bit off-putting, but he is good at what he does, indeed. He has good information. Citizen 69, everyone suffers from globalism. Indeed. Let's move on. Had Vollmer. Thank you for the super chat. Coffee before it's gone. Okay, tea party. Oh, my coffee is almost gone, but that's all right. We're powering through. Let's quickly look at this article. Oops, I hope I did that right. Let's make sure that everything is going okay. First, hello. I think everything's going okay. A ding dang do. Anyways, let's go back to this. This federal agency closes its eyes to the climate crisis, so we're suing them. Probably not going to read this whole thing, but just give you a little quick overview. An obscure but massively powerful federal agency rubber stamps new fracking pipelines, blatantly ignoring the threat that this poses to a stable climate. Well, of course. Yes, this poses a threat to a stable climate. We are taking them to court. There's a powerful agency that you might not have heard of, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. Get the FERC out of here. Grants permits to build interstate fracked gas pipelines and compressor stations. If you've ever heard of FERC in the first place, it's likely because they're known as a rubber stamp for the fossil fuel industry. We're fracked and we're FERC'd. There's one reason for that. Under their current highly partisan policy, FERC has been pretending that building new fracking infrastructure has no impact on climate. Awesome. We think that's completely wrong, so we're suing them. Why Food and Water Watch is bringing this suit against the government. The lawsuit, Food and Water Watch and Berkshire Environmental Action Team versus Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, is in response to the December 2019 FERC approval of the 261 upgrade project, which consists of 2 miles of new pipeline and a new 11,000 horsepower compressor unit near Springfield, Massachusetts, the worst city for asthma sufferers in the entire country. Did you know that? I did not know that. Shortly after our legal team began working challenging this reckless approval with one of the local groups on the ground fighting the project, Berkshire Environmental Action Team, which has been documenting how this new source of air pollution will devastate local communities that are already overburdened with unhealthy air. Our goal is simple. Make FERC factor in climate change in its permitting decisions, since they are ignoring legal requirements and court orders to do so. Great. In a 2017 decision, the U.S. Court of Appeals for D.C. Circuit ordered FERC to meaningfully consider the downstream greenhouse gas emissions of pipeline projects. So, guys, the Court of Appeals said, could you do your job? Would that be okay? Could you do that? Essentially, the combustion activities associated with fossil fuel gas facilitated by these pipelines. This makes perfect sense, of course, or just sense. New gas pipelines and compressor stations are built specifically to facilitate new emissions or to deliver products that will be used to manufacture plastics. And federal law requires agencies to look at the indirect impacts of the projects that they permit. FERC has devised a loophole to get out of that requirement. The Commission's current policy, spearheaded by former Mitch McConnell protege, Chairman Neil Chatterjee, is to claim that these climate impacts are inherently unforeseeable and thus dismissible, rendering the climate impacts of gas infrastructure as effectively nil. Oh, yes. They did that with the fancy words or the tricky words. Or, who knows? Who knows? It's unforeseeable. We really don't know. We don't know enough. The trucks used to install pipelines and the emissions from running compressor units, but not the broader fossil fuel gas systems that these pipeline projects are meant to expand. This allows the Commission to place a massive thumb on the regulatory scale in favor of the fossil fuel industry by disregarding the most consequential environmental issue of our time. If we win, climate change considerations are back in the game. Winning this case would force FERC, the primary regulator of fossil gas for the world's largest gas-producing nation, that's us, to meaningfully consider the broader impacts of fossil fuel infrastructure development on the global climate. It would give vulnerable frontline communities a powerful new tool to stop the dirty energy projects that are making them sick. Right now, our organizers and allies are mostly focused on fighting these battles at the state and municipal levels, where permitting decisions can be directly influenced by pressuring lawmakers to step up the fight to fight the climate crisis and environmental injustices. A victory here could force FERC to start protecting people and the planet, not the pockets of oil and gas executives. Oh, that's great. So we have to file a lawsuit to get an agency that was created to protect the environment. We have to sue them to protect the environment. Essentially, we're screwed. See how that works? Donald McCarthy, people think vegans are soft. I know some right tough vegan bastards. That's right. Vegan guns. Or veggie guns. But I know some people out there with some vegan guns as well. Lightning Rod, what's up? Hello from Thunder Bay. Did you say that, or did I say it for you? I think I did. Kevin Jensen, indeed. Lightning Rod says, my autocorrect says you are a rug. Mark Plant says, after Moore's film Planet of the Humans, energy use needs to be minimized. Indeed, modern solar PV is still carbon good, as well as solar thermal and geothermal, indeed. Rosa Remen asks, where can I store a tanker full of oil? Well, you might be able to get one cheap. You might be able to just buy a tanker full of oil real cheap, or they might actually pay you to take it from them. You got a crew and a captain? You want to drive this thing out of here? We will pay you money to do that. let's move on. We've got more to cover here, guys. So I covered the fact that the United States is bombing Somalia on an increasing level just over the last 3 months. And I wondered why. And someone linked this in the comments. Intrepid viewer, maybe this is why. Somalia agrees offshore oil exploration roadmap with Shell Exxon. Somalia has agreed an initial roadmap with Shell Exxon joint venture to explore and develop potential offshore oil and gas reserves, the Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources said on Monday. I am delighted we have agreed to an initial roadmap with the Shell Exxon joint venture. This gives us confidence in the ability to further explore any offshore hydrocarbon potential, Minister Abirshad Mohammed Ahmed said in a statement. Last month, Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo signed petroleum legislation into law to help open up a new frontier market in Africa as the strife-torn country hopes new petroleum finds will help transform its economy. And so maybe, just maybe, I got an idea. Maybe we're there to protect our oil. What do y'all think? What do you guys think about that? Could it be? Okay, so I'm gonna play something for you that is super wild, guys. Super wild. This is crazy. A friend of mine actually posted this on Facebook, and I was like, "What the? Where did you find this?" This is I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but this is 4 minutes. I'm gonna play this video, and so he's saying this is Bill Gates talking. I think it's Bill Gates. It seems like it's Bill Gates. You guys tell me what you think about this video.
Individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR.
I actually don't think it's Bill Gates, honestly.
Gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalists, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing. And I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of
The location is
Afghanistan.
here, Pentagon
The
room.
virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? Aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
Okie dokie. Did you all get
Over
that?
here, we have individuals who are
Did you all get that? Did you see that? No, so that wasn't Bill Gates. So I'm now totally confirmed that was not Bill Gates. But did you guys hear that? I don't know if you could hear it. So that was from 2005. If you could see the date on it, and the location was in a Pentagon room, and this man was saying we're developing a virus / vaccine that will basically cure people of religious fanaticism, and they were going to release it in the Middle East or in in places where they think religious fanaticism is, a problem. FunVax, exactly. FunVax. Oh. Yes, so, Gene, yeah, I'm trying to recap it. So, right. So this guy is doing a presentation. They have a virus that they're developing a virus. This is 2005, so a little while ago. They were working on a virus that would cure people of religious fundamentalism. But anyways, it wasn't that loud. Yeah, you're right, Stefan. Genetic religion cure, exactly. So they figured out that some people are more prone genetically to religious extremism. But just the idea that they are developing this virus that they're going to release, of course, without anybody's knowledge, right? They're not going to be like, hey guys, you guys want this cure for your religious fanaticism? Here, come get this virus shot. I mean, it's wild. Wild. Whether you think this is a good idea or not, the fact that they are trying to, obviously they're doing something in secret to develop this virus, and release it into the wild so that they can control how people think or feel is, yeah. Anyways, that's all. I just wanted to play that for you because I thought that was insanely disturbing. Let me play you something else that's insanely disturbing, or maybe not insanely, but questionable. I actually played this the other day. during the Rockfin live stream, but not everybody who saw it, so I'm going to play it here again real quick. And this is, I don't know. I just want to know what you all think about this. Don't want to read that. And here we go. Let's see if this will play. Not that. Sorry. I don't need to make you watch this. Of course, I had a problem playing this the other day a little bit, but we'll see if this will go. Here we go.
What's up, Tony? All right, man. Where do you go, buddy? You can take off the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3 according to USC. Is it really? That's reassuring. USC. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. USC and LA County Public Health come out with a study.
Did you hear that?
There's 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected. Really? Yeah.
So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3.
Yeah.
Does a study to get on this?
Yeah, just give it to them. So it suggests that the case fatality rate is like 10. Wow.
Anyways, basically, they're saying that this guy was joking about everybody being vaccinated. But did that sound like that guy was joking? He said it just totally deadpan, and nobody laughed. Nobody was like, ha ha ha. No, he didn't laugh. The other guy didn't laugh. Nobody else laughed. He said you could take off the mask because the U.S. There's a study. They said they figured out that the mortality rate is super low. Oop, sorry about that. Just weird stuff. Like why are they saying everybody there has been vaccinated? Very, very bizarre. Gene says, Kevin, it is interesting, but was it a skit for a reenactment activity? Remember the Acorn tapes were messed with. Were they? Were they messed with? FBI, what is happening? Yeah. What is happening? Indeed. Indeed. That is concerning. Very concerning. So, who is this person? Anyways, moving on. Another interesting story out of the UK. Of course, there was some weird business with the Labour Party trying to crunch Jeremy Corbyn's campaign. Labour officials ran a secret operation to deceive Jeremy Corbyn at last year's general election, micro-targeting Facebook adverts at the leader and his closest aides to convince them that the party was running the campaign they demanded. Campaign chiefs at Labour HQ hoodwinked their own leader because they disapproved of some of Corbyn's left-wing messages. They convinced him they were following his campaign plans by spending just £5,000 on adverts solely designed to be seen by Corbyn, his aides, and their favorite journalists, while pouring far more money into adverts with a different message for ordinary voters. Wild. Wild. They were duping Jeremy Corbyn and his team. Basil Peterson says, if you don't watch MSM, you are uninformed. If you do watch it, you are misinformed. Indeed. The hell? Did you all see that? Somebody named the FBI is showing up in the chats. Very funny. Very funny. What is happening is some truth in media is happening. That's what's happening. Anyways, here's a funny story. I'm going to end with this. Sometimes I like to follow goofball neoliberals, centrists, on Twitter, just to see what they're talking about. Because, I don't like to live in a bubble of just people that I agree with. Although, we all generally tend to do that. Anyways, this guy, somebody said that somebody tweeted at him and said that, the mainstream media is all owned by a handful of billionaires. And he retweeted it and said something to the effect of, you're stupid, show your work. Where's the evidence of this? And I was like, dude, if you don't already know that this is reality, like, where is your head? Who are you? Where do you live? Like, how much do you really know? This guy thinks that he's really smart, actually, by the way. So I tweeted at him, there was something called the Telecommunications Act that was passed under Bill Clinton in 1996, which made it much easier for mergers to happen and for basically, media monopolies to be created. It basically wiped away some of the rules around who could own what, how many companies one entity can own. You could also own media companies, in different markets. You could own many different media companies in the same market, or, media outlets in the same market, etc. Actually, I have it right here. We can look at it. Telecommunications Act of 96. So I'm going down here. This actually is what has led to many, or to a few companies owning most of the media outlets in the U.S., which has created, this environment where it's harder and harder to have some kind of actual opposition media or liberal, not liberal media, but actual alternative media entities out there. Ralph Nader argued that the act was an example of corporate welfare spawned by political corruption because it gave away to incumbent broadcasters valuable licenses for broadcasting digital signals on the public airways. There was a requirement in the act of the FCC not auction off the public spectrum, which the FCC itself listed as $11 to $70 billion. The act was claimed to foster competition, and instead it continued the historic industry consolidation, reducing the number of major media companies from around 50 in 1983 to 10 in 1996 and 6 in 2005. So you see where this is going. They're all consolidating into this one corporate monolith. So what this guy tweeted at this guy was true. I tweeted at the guy, I said, yeah, what he said was, you're saying that we should regulate who owns the media? I was like, all right, guy. So I said, yeah, there were more regulations before the Telecommunications Act of 96. Ever hear of it? And this guy's response was to block me instead of have a debate or, have a bit of back and forth, or maybe say I disagree or whatever. No, I'm going to block you because, God damn it, if you tell me the truth. This is, the problem with the neoliberal or liberal or centrist liberal mindset is, oh my God, how dare you tell me the truth? I am offended. I'm offended. And I will not brook any kind of truth-telling or any kind of opposition to my megaphone of what I think in my social media space. So you're blocked. Anybody who thinks that they are political, some kind of political know-it-all, or, have some kind of grasp of political knowledge, and they can't take any kind of debate whatsoever or any kind of opposition whatsoever without blocking people, is not a political not knowledgeable in the political spectrum on any level. You're just you're basically just, Trump or worse than Trump, because you're like, this is what I think is true, and if you disagree with me, fuck you, I'm going to block you. It sounds like some toddler shit right there. Anyways. Anger is a healthy emotion. Anyone want to argue? Indeed. I love a good argument. Citizen 69, exactly. You experienced cancel culture. Right. Cancel culture is just weak people, weak-minded people who cannot, hold two opposite ideas in their mind at the same time. Anybody who cannot, brook any kind of opposition to their bubble of their framework of thought or their narrative on what life is and how they see the world. And, that's how you deal with anybody that disagrees with you, is they're out of here. They're canceled. They're blocked. Poppy Davis, you fucked with his bubble. Yes, indeed. I mean, literally, I just tweeted him the Telecommunications Act. You ever heard of this? Oh my God, how dare you? Oh. What are you, some kind of Trumper? Probably that's what went through his head, because he's so smart, because he's so intelligent, because that's what really intelligent people do. When anybody ever disagrees with you and you're a liberal, oh my, what are you, some kind of Trump apologist or supporter? What are you, a Russian bot? I'm smart. Do you like that? That's my impression of neoliberal centrist fake woke jackballs. Yep, I saw that. Twitter removed the latest Tara Reid CNN tape of her mom found from 93. I know they are suppressing that. They are like, oh my God. Prudhomme, Tara Reid's mom, called into Larry King in 1993 and was asking, was saying, like, my daughter had an experience with a senator in Congress, and they're saying, this is Tara Reid's mom. She called into Larry King and said, hey, something happened with my daughter, and she couldn't get any justice. She was trying to bring this to light through, various entities, and they all were like, we're not going to listen to you. Yeah. Yeah. And their answer to this is not to say this isn't Tara Reid's mom, or, they can't deny, it's getting harder for them to deny it. So they're removing it. They're removing evidence. They're removing, well, if we can't counter the truth. So we're just going to make sure that the truth is unavailable. 404 page, truth is unavailable at the moment. Anyways, guys, I've reached the end of my time. Thank you so much for joining in the chat. I appreciate you. Thank you for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Appreciate you. Until the next time, peace.